Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited for this evening's edition of Profiles. Okay, can everybody mute, please? So excited about this evening's edition of Profiles, where we have special guest artist Skye Jones. Skye is one of the artists for the upcoming show celebrating Black Possibilities. She is soon to graduate from Duke Ellington School of the Arts here in Washington, D.C., and it is my pleasure again to introduce her. So, Skye, tell us about yourself as an artist and what you hope to accomplish at Celebrating Black Possibilities.
Well, as an artist, I really describe myself as a student. I feel like I have so much more to learn and experience as an artist and really receive from other people. So I really kind of just describe myself as someone who has more to do and experience. And my future plans, I think it's just to continue learning because I'll be going to college in the fall. So I'll be continuing and getting my fine arts degree. So
Cool.
yeah.
So, what school?
I'll be going to the new school Parsons in Manhattan.
Oh, how exciting is that?
Yes, I'm very excited.
So, and you're going up to New York for our show, so you get to start
Yes.
getting that feel for the city, right?
Yes, I'm very excited. I'll be there. Yes, it'll be right across from where I'll be actually attending school. So I'm very excited to be in the midst of, New York City and where I'll be for the next 4 years.
How cool is that? So, congratulations.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
so, I think we're ready for our first guest.
Great. Well, I'll introduce our next guest, Travis Vargas. Let's bring him in.
He's up.
Great, awesome.
Hello, hello.
Hi. Uh, well, could you just like really introduce yourself for the audience and kind of explain a little bit of what you do?
Sure. As you know, my name is Travis Vargas. I am co-producing the upcoming show celebrating Black Possibility. It's going to be a great show. I've This is kind of the first time I'm working on the back end of being in a sort of like an art gallery situation for it slowly coming to life. But yeah, so previous to doing this show, I was in the last show, Seeing Voices. That's kind of like really how the entire origin of me co-producing this show really started.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, what was the inspiration for this show? Like just like the theme of having Black possibilities.
Yeah, well, I can't take complete credit for this because the real sort of man behind the mission is Nelson Soto. He is the founder of CAfED, and he always just sort of strives to get as many artists as possible from the diaspora. So like this show specifically is for Black artists, and it's going to be a really big one.
Yes, I'm very excited to really see how your just effort has like manifested on the next week.
Yes.
So I guess like like how does like a co-producer really like what do you really contribute to the I guess the art show? I really don't know. Like what do you do?
Yeah, for sure. Well, at first it sort of started to like kind of step into place and like really help the entire staff, everybody on the back end who's like sort of making it come together. It was really to help them with like a sort of marketing perspective. By trade, I do graphic design and some advertising and marketing and animation. So I'm really just lending my skill set to put the show out and get a lot of people to know the art show is going on and that it's going to be a big deal. But like, it actually became a very fluid process. I guess a lot of the skill set that I have from working in a professional life or for my day job has seemed to like kind of leak into my natural set of skills of doing this for co-producing. So it first started to just sort of like gather some artists, and then it turned into I'm gonna make the flyer, and then it turned to I'm gonna manage the Instagram, and I'm gonna do all the social media, and now I'm just sort of part of the team very fluidly. Nelson is someone that I'm pretty close with even before doing the first show. So I really just want to lend anything I could to really help with the show. And then I don't know where he's like, you know what, you're a co-producer now. I'm like, okay. So it was a very fluid process through and through.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Like the fact that all of your really talents came together and produced something so amazing with so many people involved. That's awesome. So if like I have a really good question. Okay, if you could really choose like a word or a phrase to like describe yourself as an artist with your multiple mediums you use, like what would it be?
This is going to sound pretty cliche, but I would say um, exploratory. And I guess I mean that in a sense of like a lot of my personality is around the idea of like I just am always exploring so many different things. I mean, not even just within the art world. It's just like that's just who I am. I'm a person of adventure. So like that definitely shows itself when you see the amount of different mediums that I've explored throughout my whole life. So yeah.
Well, do you have any plans to explore anything new? Like what's your next thing to explore?
Yeah, after doing the last art show, I'm really inspired to do another show that is revolved around an actual space that you kind of go into, utilizing projection mapping, different sort of ways that you can kind of blend with the art in a sort of like an interior design spectrum. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it yet, but like I have plenty of ideas. So coming soon, I guess I could say that. Yeah,
So, like a kind of interactive, like immersion type of
exactly.
like exhibition. That's really cool. I like
Yes.
that. I've
Yeah,
those are really fun, and it really kind of puts you into the art, which makes it really
exactly.
personable. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So, like, well, what inspires you as an artist and now a co-producer of like a show? Like, what really inspires you now?
I think what really inspires me specifically to this show is the feeling that I felt after doing the first show. The first show was my first time really doing any show in general, sort of like publicly showcasing my work in an actual gallery space with a ton of super talented artists. Um, I think that is like, man, the love that you felt in that room, it was unparalleled. It was very much so like seasoned artists versus younger artists versus people just coming to see the show. There was just so much love and care in the air that like really brought a lot of people of color and like and just even outside that, just people in general just together in a way that felt so true to what it was. I think that ultimately is something that as a co-producer I want to still manifest, and like if I can sort of make anything easier too, that's sort of where I come in to make sure all the love is even stronger, you know.
Yes, definitely. A community of artists can feel so welcoming and just home for sure, and
Big
creating
time.
that
Big
amazing.
time. Yeah.
Yes. So I
I
think
don't even know if like the other artists even understand unless they like it's their first show or like kind of doing it before, but this show is not like others. I definitely want to say that these group of people are very very special. It's just so there's nothing really like it for sure.
yes, definitely. So for my last question, I think I said, so like you talked about, I guess, just the love and the feelings you felt like with so many artists and just people coming together to experience and appreciate art. Are there
Yes.
any people in your life, whether they be artists or not, like that kind of influenced your like just your drive or your work or just how you do things in general?
Yeah. I would say my grandmother. She unfortunately had passed away kind of recently within the past 4 years. She was an artist. She kind of was the person who manifested the entirety of me just appreciating art in general and really diving into it at a young age. She was an art teacher. She was just like, she would paint every single day up until she was about 85, 86 years old. She would go downtown with her canvas on the bus and everything. Like, true New Yorker. Like she can't say coffee. She says coffee. You know, like really incredible woman.
That's wonderful. So I think, well, yes, we have to bring in. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
You.
This was really like awesome to hear and just really experience. So I'll have to bring in our next guest, Jelani, Jelani Prue.
Actually, we're
So,
going to Michael Hines next.
oh, okay, sorry, Michael Hines. Hello.
Yeah. Hold on, Michael. Michael, unmute, please. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Hi.
Good evening.
Welcome. Hello. If you could just like introduce yourself and tell us what you do as well.
I'm Michael Hines. I'm a designer and artist. Um, I paint in oil and in digital media and digital painting. Um, I do realistic painting of figures, and I also do some abstract painting as well.
Wonderful. I like that. So just based off like what I heard a lot of like really like realism. Like does realism like I guess play into the your themes of art and uh really portraying black people in general or just black possibilities?
Yes, I think my work fits very well with this show. That's something that some of that my work explores is how the family, how groups of Black people and the love and support can uplift and elevate each other. So I think, yeah, my work fits well with the show, and I'm really proud to be a part of it.
That's wonderful. So does like I guess more visual elements have any effect on it, like your color choices or like how you, I guess, use your figures in certain positions or certain things like that?
I think having some kind of closeness is important for me in my work, um, uh, and and also a casual nature to what is being shown in the pictures. Um, that those types of images have had an impact on me throughout my life when I see them in galleries and or artwork that I grew up with. Um, it's very impactful to see, even though the imagery is very casual. People playing. I feel like those images are very important.
Yes, I agree. Seeing black people being able to enjoy themselves is definitely something that needs to be seen more. So, like, what really inspired your like decision, like your decisions in choosing some of the pieces you made, or like the series you're doing?
Well, it's a story that I connected with as a kid. I grew up in the South, and uh, you know, like I guess unlike today, where a lot of kids are online and playing games, we were outside playing. We were playing in the street. We were in the teaching each other how to do backflips, as one of the paintings, one of my paintings depicts. And that scene is just something that always kind of stayed with me, and I hadn't seen uh, in a while. And it was it was something about that moment of for some reason we banded together and we said we're gonna figure out how to do these backflips and that I guess that story, that uplifting moment, was just something that can translate to as a story in any moment in your life, really.
Yes. That's I love that. And I love how visual it is too, because the movement is wonderful. You know, like they're all interacting and like the kids are playing together and you're able to see them finally be able to get the backflip and get it together and finally actually hit it. So do you plan on continuing, like, I guess, working with the theme of Black possibilities and really positivity in the Black community in general?
Yes, that's a goal of mine to continue that work. That is very important to me. Seeing those images out there of positivity, family, friendship, and the stories that are created with those images.
Yes,
So I plan to
definitely
continue. I do
that.
plan to continue with this series. Yeah.
Wonderful. Specifically, like the Black Flip like series, like you have multiple kind of, I guess, renditions of it with different groups of children, or like just Black kids in general, like that.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, yeah. So just kind of playing off those themes um, of kids together, that unique childhood friendship uh, that exists, the innocence in a way. So I do like to depict that, and I do plan to continue with that theme a little bit. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you so much. So I'll have to bring in our next guest. This was wonderful. I really received a lot. I definitely want to learn how to work with oil in the future, and I love the way you draw Black people. It's wonderful to see. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
can we bring in, please, Jelani Prue?
And Jelani's with us.
Jelani, okay, thank you so much. Hi, Jelani. If you could please introduce yourself and just talk about like what you're passionate about when it comes to your art and what you really do.
So I'm Jelani. I am a photographer. I shoot a lot of different things. Currently, I'm a product photographer. I'm a commercial product photographer. I've shot landscapes, portraits, and all sorts of things.
That's wonderful. So, what really inspires like the shots you take? Because I was watching the video at the beginning of the live, and I saw they were very, very close up and really detail oriented. Is there any reason why you're just like choosing to do ones that are very, I guess, clear, or like things like there's like your decisions as an artist?
Well, for my product photography, it typically starts with communication with the client about what they're looking for, but ultimately you want to highlight the product and show it in its best perfect form. So the detailed images are really just trying to capture what that product is in a photo before you actually receive the product.
Yes, that's a good point. So, for I guess okay, I have a different question for you. So if you could like choose something to really describe yourself as an artist, like what would it be?
Hmm. Like a word to describe myself?
A word or a phrase.
Um, I would say fluid. I think that's a pretty good word to describe how I've moved throughout different genres of photography or different needs of the client. I try to be pretty adaptive and fluid while still representing myself in the work.
Great. So like when it comes to like your work, what really makes it your work when it comes to your photography? What makes it yours?
Um, I think that's a hard question. Potentially still trying to figure out what differentiates me, but I think what comes to mind is my story, the different places that I've been, the different experiences that I've had, the different people that I've met. The photography that you'll see in the show is a pretty good example of the different transitions that I've done. So, product, landscape, and people that tells my story.
Yes, that makes a lot. I like that. So, is there like any people specifically like that really influence, I guess, this fluidity you have in your photography and how you change from different like subjects?
I wouldn't say people per se. I think what comes to mind is just kind of like my life experience growing up. My parents were military, so I bounced around to different places. So I've always kind of had to be very adaptive and adjust to different scenarios and, you know, tap into my fluidity.
Yes. So for okay, this is my last question. So do you plan on really continuing your, I guess, like your representation of Black possibilities, like in the future, and maybe even changing your subjects and how you really represent that and your like your fluidity through that?
I mean, I always make it a point to highlight Black and Brown people in my work if the subject does call for a if it's necessary to have a person in the photo. So that's definitely a story that I'll continue to portray in the work that I create, no matter what I'm making.
I love that. Thank you so much. This was really educational for me because I really haven't really experienced photography enough, and that really kind of gives me like a little boost to really explore it more too. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So if our next guest is Stephen McKenzie. Yes.
And you're up.
Great. Hi. Hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. This is like my first time seeing myself on two screens. So one screen is like behind the other, but I'm gonna do
Oh,
my
that's
best. Like,
yes, I believe it. So, well, first, like, can you like really please introduce yourself and like what your art you do and like what kind of inspires you to do that art?
my name is Stephen McKenzie. I'm from the Bronx, New York. I'm a visual artist specializing in illustration and acrylic painting. I have worked in other things like I've tattooed. I've installed graphics on windows. I've done a little bit of work outside. Done a couple murals. So like I'm just about creating. I work with wood, like carpentry stuff, like so I just like creating, like from different stuff, like all kinds of things.
I think that's so cool. I'm actually really interested in the tattooing part of this. So, you use like I guess skin as a canvas. Like, do you work
I
on
have,
all types of tone?
I definitely have, cause well, you could tattoo on like different types of skin. So like practicing when I first started, I used like pig ears or pig feet, and that works like pretty well. Or you could also use an orange peel, like a banana peel. So that was like my practice staging, but like tattooing is definitely extremely difficult, and I'm definitely more of like a self-taught person. So it was a little shaky.
Yes,
But
but I think that's so cool. Like as a medium.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I was like just saying that that's really cool how you're using tattooing as a medium for art. Like I already really kind of recognize body art as a like art, but using tattooing as a thing on other objects is super super cool, and I like that a lot.
Nah,
So
definitely.
if
As a creator, you could use your mediums could be used on anything.
yes, if it sticks, it stays. So are there any people in your life like that really influenced your work for the show or just in general?
I wouldn't say they influence it as far as like style, but definitely like subject matter. I'm very influenced by obviously like Black people, and the show is celebrating Black possibilities. And like we, all of us in the show, like are Black possibility because we're all Black, and I mean, it's possible for us to be in these spaces and share our work. So like I'm very influenced by like women. The women in my family have they hold like a very high place in my heart. Not to say that the men don't, but like they're a lot of the leaders. They're the ones who are holding things together. And like for myself, just being outside, women are some of the most beautiful organisms I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, definitely. Black women really hold us together as a community. So,
Yeah.
I think my last question, like, how has your art like really shaped your perception of self-identity as a Black person?
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that one more time?
Sure. Like, how has your art shaped your perception of self-identity as a Black individual?
Oh man. My art, I get really influenced obviously by Black people and Black culture. So I look a lot into like history and a lot of the costuming and the wardrobing of when maybe we weren't being dominated by people or being forced to be a very certain type of way. Like it's a lot more regal and personal, and it really is just showing like the uniqueness and how vast we are as like as a people. So that really influences a lot of my work because I know the diaspora is more of a recent word, at least for me being younger, like where people are using it and even connecting, even though that we span over so many different types of cultures, whether you're speaking English, French, Spanish. So like my work is very much about showing like that we're all one. We come in a lot of different shades, but like my newer pieces, I work only like in like grayscale, like because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we Black. Like there's some mixes in there, but like at the end of the day, everything is working with the same color units and like the same type of royal regalia and like just looking they stunting to me like so yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. I love like that, just in general, the history part of it, because Black people were doing big things before slavery happened. Like
Yeah,
there was so much before it. So that's great and wonderful. Thank you so much. I really
thank
appreciate it.
I appreciate you, thank you.
Okay, so our next guest is Mario Wright. And if we could bring him in, please.
Mario, you're up.
Hello.
Hi. Hello.
I can't
Um,
really see you, but
okay. Oh, well, could you just introduce yourself and kind of talk about your art and what really inspires you to create?
okay. My name is Mario Finesse Wright. Uh, Influential Finesse is my artist name, my performance name. My art is poetry, uh, writer. I'm an author of two books that I just recently published, and what experiences me to write is, or experience influences my art is my experiences and the experiences of the world around me.
So, as like a poet, how really do you kind of convey like this the depth of emotion for certain subjects? Well, especially even for the show specifically, are you conveying your words specifically?
Uh, how do I convey it? I think I just want to be honest with myself, and then I just really don't hold nothing back and speak on how I think and how I feel, how I see things. You know, I think it goes right along with the the theme of the show with the country that we live in and the things that I've been through and the things that I write about.
So, like, I guess your experience as a Black person in America really, like, really kind of manifests itself in your poetry. So, like, was like that the inspiration for really like the just like having the joy and, um, I guess the positive outlook on the thing, like on your artwork for the show?
Uh, yeah, because I mean we're connecting and we're doing something better. So it's we're standing for something, and all by doing this we're making it better. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that answered your question.
No, it's okay. Yes, it answered it. So, if like, what's your biggest passion as a poet? Like, what really makes you want to keep writing and keep writing?
It will be two things: the self expression with myself, and what it helps me get through, and in my life, and then being able to relate with others and help them, inspire them, and connect and build with other people. I feel like my art is healing for myself and others.
I love that so much. Like, that's wonderful. Having healing is such a big thing. If like, okay, if you could choose like a word or phrase to like describe yourself as an artist, what would it be?
Uh, I had to say influential.
I like that. And okay, I think my last question is like, did you ever have a defining moment when you knew you were meant to be a poet? Like, that's who I am.
Yeah, it will probably it'll probably be two different, two different times actually. One, once I realized that you know that I was good at it and that I liked it myself. Like, every time I finish a piece or write anything, I say to myself like, wow. And then also, seeing people being able to touch people and they feel it and relate. And when they came back to me and you know let me know that it affected them, you know, the first time that happened is probably when I realized like, nah, this is gonna be my life. And
Yes, definitely. When someone else comes and really tells you how much your work really resonated with them, it really can make such a difference. Thank you so much. I really like love that. Poetry is so gorgeous and beautiful, and it's wonderful to actually talk with someone who is really passionate about it. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Yes.
Peace.
So our next interviewee is Abba. If you could bring her in, please.
And she's there.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
If you could just please introduce yourself and your art and kind of what inspires your creativity and what you do.
Um, my name is Abba Kuda. I'm a poet, um, general writer, and multi disciplinary artist. Um, I think the thing that inspires my art and my creativity most is um, honestly being inspired by blackness and um, color in general, and being Stephen McKenzie said that the costuming in history like shows the vastness of blackness, And I think that the vastness of blackness itself is what inspired me, the intersectionality that blackness can represent, how everything comes from it. Um, a lot of my poetry, my writing is on black consciousness. So, yeah.
I love that so much. So, how has, I guess, like your like research into the vastness of blackness kind of shaped your perception of like your self identity as a black person in like your art or in general?
Um, yeah, it's been huge. I think you realize how much blackness just encompasses um everything, and how much we can keep showing up in that radical love that we have and in that radical joy that we have, despite it all. It's that power, and it's that love that never stops. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of research I've done in anthropology and metaphysics, and that for me has really helped my writing and crafted my narrative, because um, I think you realize just how uh, in touch with the same things so many people put shame on we were before colonialism. Um, it's the same things that we villainize that are so human that we used to embrace um, before we were enslaved, and I think that that has been the pillar for shaping how I see myself and my blackness and my general identity.
That's wonderful. Do you plan on like expanding on this idea because it is so vast, there's so much to do. Do you plan on continuing with this research into like the black diaspora?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, it never stops. What it really connects to is like spirituality. It goes into so much bigger. It goes into the beginning of people. Um, and it goes into questions unanswered, or questions attempted to be answered. Um, and I think in it we can find different ways of defining why we're here, different ways of defining what love is for us and what we get to experience while we're here. It's definitely my drive. So yeah, for sure.
Yes, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for like coming and speaking. This is like really like just wonderful to hear how passionate you are about the black diaspora and how like much we have like we can do and we've done. It's like it's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll introduce our next guest. Um, is Tanya Everett still available?
She's up.
Great, wonderful. Hi, thank you so much for coming.
Hi. Thank you for
Hi.
having me.
Um, if you could just really introduce yourself, like your art, and really kind of explain like why, what inspires you, or what makes you want to continue really being a creative.
I mean, I've always been a creative. I think that the inspiration comes from finding an art space to channel my lived experience and also the pain of being alive. Um, and so much of my art comes from sort of like a mosaic of things that are happening to me or people that I love. Um, and very much from the space of grief. I lost a lot of people in the last 7 years, and the piece that I'm presenting for the show is based on that loss. And how it comes in stages, that there are the stages of grief, but they're not like linear like that. And so the play will happen in non-linear spaces, because I think grief is something that becomes a part of us as opposed to is something like that you go through. I think it just changes you forever, like a portal. So those are some of the things. Yeah.
I really like that, like what you said about how grief is something that becomes you. Like, could you like at least like elaborate maybe on that? Because that sounds like such a a deep concept in terms of how, we think about, oh, we get over things, not, it becomes us. So that idea, could you like talk about how you're going to be presenting that when you do the play?
I think that the the transformation that we watch my character go through is one of that sort of early acceptance, but also that throughout their relationship. So it's a 20-year relationship between these two women. For our purposes, we'll only see a small excerpt of it because this is Black Possibilities and about Black joy. So we're gonna find some of the like more joyful parts of the play, and not like when she loses her partner to, she's the her partner dies in childbirth. So we won't go through those scenes in this. But even that, like that their relationship together has, because it's 20 years, it spans many different kinds of grieving, in terms of like who you think that you are, who you become over those 20 years. And I think that allowing grief to sort of like etch away at the things that don't serve us, or that just are no longer part of you, right? Like I'm no longer the person who's like going out to the club anymore, because like my life doesn't align with that anymore. And I don't, and I have some grief about that, but it's also joyful to be like, oh, I actually really enjoy staying at home. That makes me sound like an old person, but like I enjoy like my space, and I grieve the person that needed to go out, but I also like am learning to meet this other person. So that's the portal part, is that parts of you just have to die in order for you to be the next version of yourself.
That is so powerful. I love that so like so much, like because that is so true in terms of how I guess we change as people. A lot of who we used to be gets left behind, and the new person you are is just can't like foster the person you used to be, or like just like are you like that's so cool. Are you continue are you going to continue this like idea or this like representation of finding the acceptance after becoming or like accepting grief, or kind of going through the motions of turning into a person who you weren't, or turning to a new person who you weren't expecting to be?
I mean, in many ways, both in my life and in my work, I recently started working with another theater company as well called Play Machine, and we will be producing this play in the summer, later in the summer, in a French festival in August. So this is like a teaser for this. We'll have like a smaller production with CAfED, which I'm so excited about, and then we'll do the whole play in August, the end of August. So yeah, we're it's all therapy for me in a lot of ways, but it's also I think it's especially in this moment with the pandemic, there are so many losses, and if nothing else, theater gives us a visceral space to cry and to be and to rage. And if theater isn't that, I'm not sure what we're doing. Like theater's not making anybody like super famous or making people rich. So like, why wouldn't it be trying to make us feel and experience something? Um, so yeah, I hope that we keep doing that. And so grateful for this platform.
Yes, like I'm so excited to see it and view it. Like this sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for speaking and talking about your art. This was really educational and also really inspiring for me too as a young artist. Like this is awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, so our last interviewee, Julian Soto, if we can bring him in, please.
And he's up.
Hey, can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Howdy, Skye.
Hi.
How
If you
are
could
you?
just good, how are you?
Blessed.
Like
This is awesome. This has been amazing.
yes. Like if you could introduce yourself and your art and kind of what inspires you as an artist.
Yeah, so my name is Julian Bouvoir Soto. Nelson's my father. Abba Kura is my sister. And yeah, family, gang. And I'm a musician primarily. I sing. I write and perform with this group called the Onyx Collective. And putting out a solo project soon come. But recently, I've started taking up to the space of like live streaming and kind of trying to bridge worlds from bringing people from the live streaming scene into the music studio, so showing folks what the process is like. Also recently fell in love with the game of basketball, so bringing people along with me on my journey of learning how to play basketball and getting park runs in, and then kind of bringing the whole thing together and interviewing people that I think are amazing, kind of like what you're doing right now, Skye. I partnered with V-Files recently to uh, start this radio slash podcast thing called Julian's Party at V Files Radio, which we do like every Monday or Wednesday whenever we can. So I'm kind of all over the place now, but that's a little bit of what I do. And what I'll be doing on the 18th, I'll be performing on the 18th, trying to bridge all these mediums together for you guys at the Alabaria Art Space at celebrating Black possibilities, and I'm excited.
Yes, that sounds amazing. So, will you be singing and playing, or like, I kind of want to know a little bit what you're going to be doing?
So what I want to do is I kind of want to create a version of my set. So normally I do like a 45-minute set, bunch of different types of music. Um, but I wanted to feature other artists since this is what it's about. And I've got a couple friends in the city. Some they're going to remain unnamed for now. But what I'd like to do is live stream my performing some of my own music, invite folks that normally watch me play, video games like my PS4 and things like that, come into the gallery for the day that I'm there, into the performance space, be there with us, and yeah, I'm gonna do some songs. I'm gonna have some friends do some songs, some amazing Black artists, some DJs, some rappers, and yeah, it'll be a big party of a performance.
That's awesome. So, with like your performance, have you brought in, I guess, inspiration from Black musicians and how art genres and common themes into what you'll be performing?
Yeah, I think that I mean I draw a lot from some of the Black artists that I grew up listening to, as well as folks that I admire these days, like constantly when I'm writing music. Um, and and then in different ways when I'm performing music, because it's a whole different thing. Like I've always pulled from Tina Turner as far as being able to command a stage and be able to activate my entire body when I'm performing my music. But when I'm in the studio, I've always channeled and kind of drawn inspiration from John Legend or Stevie Wonder, or I mean Ray Charles, really guys that like command the uh, just the waves, command the sound via the keyboard. I like guys that sit at the piano. Um, um, but I'm really inspired by Kendrick these days. I'm also really inspired by I mean, there are a bunch of different producers. I mean, Kanye is a producer that I've always looked up to. But I mean, Quincy Jones has laid the paved the way for a lot of folks. So I mean, like, I don't know. I draw inspiration from everywhere too, and everybody draws inspiration from everybody. That guy, that drummer from the Foo Fighters, David Grohl, he's inspired by Black artists. All his drum lines are 70s disco. That's the Foo Fighters, but that's Black music that made that happen. So we're all inspired by it.
Yes, I like the Foo Fighters, so I've heard that definitely. So, like as a musician and just a multifaceted artist, like how really like bringing like I guess your blackness into your art and how I guess maybe it affects it and then also maybe how it affects you. Like how does your music really kind of make like I guess, your identity as a Black person? Like, how does it really affect it or kind of solidify how you present yourself as a Black individual?
Well, I think that my music just solidifies how different I am. It sort of crystallizes that. But we're all different in our own ways, no matter where we come from and what we are. No two people are alike, even if we share a culture. And I think that unique expression, it's definitely something that I put into my music. It comes out of my music, and I can't help but breathe and just I bleed that. But as well as in the live streaming community, like I'm a weirdo. I can be a funny guy. I can be a spaz. I can have a short attention span. And maybe like when growing up, we used to go to West Maryland uh, for Christmas, and I'd go into the Walmart blasting Justin Bieber, acting a fool, and my mom would be like, "You can't do that. Like there are Confederate flags on the license plates. Like you're not safe here. Where do you think this is? Where do you think we are?" And I've always kind of tried to push that boundary. Like if I'm doing something with love, if I'm doing something with genuine energy, it shouldn't matter what the perception is. It shouldn't matter what the color of my skin is. People are going to resonate with the fact that I'm trying to spread something positive. And Yeah, so I think it comes into play in the music because I mix so many different types of genres together. I'm always bending genres. If I'm working on a hip hop track, it's never just strictly hip hop. I'm never really just like sticking to a formula and trying to emulate one thing. It's always influenced by a multitude of spaces and walks of life. So and that's who I am. I growing up in Brooklyn. There's so many different ways to be one thing. Like, and that's why I started streaming because I looked around at the group of friends I was playing my video games with, and it's like you got three different ways of being white, two different ways of being Asian, three different ways of being black, two different ways of being Spanish, one and a half different ways of being Puerto Rican, all in the same room between like 5, 6 people, and we're having a great time playing a Nintendo game. Like it's like that's for the world to see and to share and to take part in. There's a million different ways to be who you are, but only one you.
I like that so much, especially like how you're like you're not catering to the masses, you're really doing what you want, and the people who enjoy it and really recognize like just how like beautiful it is will feed into it, and I think that's wonderful.
Amen.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. Like I love that.
No,
I'm really
thank you.
excited to hear your performance next week. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, guys. This is blessed.
Thank you. Oh,
That was beautiful, Skye. You did a wonderful job. Thank you for being our guest host tonight.
thank you for having me. This was a wonderful experience.
What themes did you take from everyone's talk?
I learned a lot. Like everyone really had the, I guess, inspiration from Black experiences and being a Black person, but they all really had individual ideas and like representations of how they presented their art. Because we didn't all have visual artists or all one type of artist, or and everybody was really multifaceted. They all did different things and were able to bring, I guess, like things they've learned before in different aspects that aren't art related into their art and kind of represent it like as like a full completed together idea, which I thought was wonderful. I'm really excited for
Right.
next week. It sounds wonderful, and everyone really made me excited to see everybody's, I guess, the manifestations of all these ideas and thoughts and just Black possibilities that they have, and it sounds gorgeous. I'm really excited for it.
I I I couldn't say it better. I mean, that was very well said. So thanks again. And I'm really excited to see the show, share their experiences, and as Travis said, and feel the love. Feel the love that's going to be in the room because it will be pervasive. So really excited to have this opportunity. And with that, that concludes our show. There's let's see. Don't forget to get your tickets. All right. So Travis just posted the Eventbrite link in the comments, and that'll take you to where you can register and also see the hours, the locations for the show, as well as the some of the cultural events that are ticketed. But the entry into the exhibit is completely free. And in our closing video, there are some more details about the show. So hang on, watch the closing video, come to New York, visit the website, make a donation, do all those things because we're doing some wonderful work. And so thank you very much for joining us tonight. And stay tuned because we have some more things coming in the future. But thank you so much. I have a little button. I'm sorry, I can't.
Bye.